我们的时间是他的亲
都不了。
They're thinking more than the legs.
He didn't tell me lah, so maybe you can enlighten me on what
Oh, see, such a nice bite there. Yeah.
Welcome our dealers as well and our turn owners. Welcome to today's turn event. We're very happy and very pleased to have all of you. My name is Nick. I'm the brand manager for Turn from Luminary. Today we continue to raise money in the spirit of giving back for the Children Cancer Foundation, where all proceeds today and the auction will go. So today I encourage all of you to be generous. Okay. We also would like to welcome our turn team. Today they just arrived and just flew in, and you will hear more from them today later on. We have a full program, and there is an auction of the Eclipse X20, and that's that nice little bike over there. This is sponsored by Turn themselves, and the price will start at Singapore dollars 1,900. Okay, so 1,900. The retail price for the bike is 3,300, so $3,300. Okay, so the way the auction works is you sort of actually have your mind already decided that you're going to use that, you're going to execute on that price. Okay, so that helps you to start thinking about whether you're going to pay 5,000, 7,000, 10,000. Again, all proceeds go to our Children Cancer Foundation. Yeah? A few things on logistics just for safety, which I think everybody has already done so, which is that the bikes will have to be outside of the auditorium, and which you guys have parked already. The autographs session will also be outside the auditorium after the event. Okay, without further ado, let's enjoy the movie. We'll have a video for you. Okay, let's warmly welcome the Singaporean way, Josh Hon.
Hi everybody, I'm Josh. We are really excited to be here. We thank you for being interested enough to listen to us, to take our Friday night off. I think we are always excited to talk about bikes, and so that's how Alan got us down here. He said, hey, let's talk about bikes, and so that's something we always really enjoy. And so today what we want to do is really just kind of give you a little bit of an inside look at how we think about things, how we make stuff, how we test, how we develop, how we roll. So that's what we're going to cover today. These pretty simple topics. So who we are. I like to start there. We are a very diverse group of people. People say, hey, are you Taiwanese, are you American, are you guys European, or what are you guys? And that's a hard question to answer. We are headquartered in Taipei. 2/3 of our team is there. The other 1/3 is split between the US and Europe. Now in these various offices, we've got all different languages and cultures and ethnicities. We've got Americans and Canadians and Finns and Taiwanese and mainland Chinese. We have Malaysians, we have Filipinos, we have Indonesians. So it's this kind of great big mix of cultures and languages that come together that make up our company. And I think the one thing that unites us is a passion for bicycles and what bicycles mean for the planet and for transportation. So this is a look of the team. It isn't a big team. We're about 80 people spread around the world. But we have a lot of fun doing what we do. So this is where we are. The black turn logos, those are the places we have offices. So we're spread across the US. We have our distribution center in Los Angeles, and we have our graphics design team, the creative team, spread across Texas and California. Our product team, we've got product team members in the UK, Germany, Switzerland, and our head of product design is based in Finland. We'll talk more about him in a bit. And of course we have mainland China and Taiwan. Now the areas in blue that you see there are the countries where we have distribution. So at current count we have about 55, we're in about 55 countries. So we're pretty happy about that for year one. So our mission, what do we stand for as a company? I think it is summed up by this. Before and after. This is our goal. This is what we're after. So I grew up in Los Angeles. My mom is here with us. So we lived in Los Angeles, and Los Angeles is a very car-centric city. And this is, everybody drives their car everywhere. And our goal is to get more people riding bicycles. We don't want people to get rid of their cars. Cars are still very useful. We drive a car. But we want people to use bicycles more, especially for short trips. In terms of company goals, specific company goals, what are they? We have 4 main goals. Number 1, make a profit. Some people don't like the sound of that. Especially we have some very idealistic people on our team. But my answer is, hey, if we're not making a profit, we don't exist. So we can't do any of the cool things that we want to do unless we're making money. Number 2, build great stuff. Number 3, have fun doing it. And number 4, make a difference. So those are kind of the 4 general goals that we're always thinking about. So we talked about making a profit. Even though making a profit is important, we need it to exist, it's not what we're all about. every now and then, I remember a classmate of mine, he was at the Stanford Business School, and he said, "Hey, think about getting into the bike industry. What do you think? I've got an idea." And I said, not if you want to make money. The bike industry is not for people who want to make money. Bike industry is for people who love the product, love cycling. I think the team is really united in that we love cycling, and so there's a lot more to what we do than just everything we do is about making money. Making great stuff. So we've only been around less than 2 years, about a year and a half. But in that time, I think we've developed some pretty good stuff. We had to, in year one, we had to completely create a new product line, and we had 8 months to do it. That was pretty hard. So in the time that we've been developing, we've won quite a few major awards. So you can see Red Dot, Eurobike Awards, Taiwan Excellence Awards, Year of the Year from Men's Journal, which is one of the highest circulation magazines in the United States. And we've only just gotten started. We were under a lot of time pressure. We had to do things quickly, but we love developing new bike technologies and testing and writing, and so you'll see a lot more from us in the coming years. There's our team, having a little bit of fun. Honestly, the start for us has been challenging, so we haven't had quite as much fun as we would like, but that is a long-term goal of ours, having fun. And finally, making a difference. We commit to giving at least 1% of our profits to social or environmental causes. Year one, we actually were not profitable. Not that surprising, but we still managed to do some pretty cool projects. Japanese Red Cross Society, you see there, the Fukushima earthquake, we have a web store, and we committed to donating all of our revenues for 1 week to the Red Cross. That ended up being, I forgot how much, $8,000 US. Not a huge amount, but not too bad either. The picture on the bottom right, those are bicycle ambulances. So there's a group of American guys, they live in Zambia, and they help the local people weld up these bicycles. Normally, if you get pregnant, you get sick, it can be a multi-hour walk to a hospital. With about $10,000 that we donated, they were able to weld up 6 or 7 of these and give them to the people there. World Bicycle Relief is a really great organization, spearheaded by guys at SRAM, Trek, and so we've donated money several times to them as well. They basically provide bikes to people in Africa. So that's something that's really important to us. Make money, give back to the community, do cool stuff. These are our core values: respect, integrity, development, and excellence. So when we think about things, when we set goals for ourselves, these core values are what we go back to. Coincidentally, they spell RIDE, which means right. Okay, so that's a little bit, that gives you hopefully a little bit of an idea of how we think about things. So as we make decisions for anything that we do, do we use this type of recycled paper for packaging? Well, some people say absolutely, always. And the more pragmatic among us say, well, let's see what the cost difference is. Does the margin afford it? So these are the things that we get back to, these kind of core values. So we started about a year and a half ago. And this is a picture of our team in Las Vegas, in a kind of crappy rented house. after Interbike, and we sat down, the whole team, and we said, okay, well, we're moving in a different direction. We're starting a new company. What do we call ourselves? What do we stand for? And so this is the meeting. That's the core team sitting there. Everybody drinking beer. And you'll see the whiteboard, and you'll see lots and lots of different names there, potential names. And it was really interesting. We were, you know, the whole team was kind of felt a strong connection. Are people familiar with the company Patagonia? Yes? No? Patagonia is a clothing company, American clothing company. It's run by somebody named Yvon Chouinard. They are the kind of company that we aspire to. They give 1% of revenues to environmental causes, not profits, revenues. That means whether they make money or lose money, they're giving money. And they're a, if not billion, then they're several hundreds of millions. So when they give money, it's serious money. You know, $5 million, $10 million. So the founder of Patagonia, he made a movie, and it was called 180 Degrees South. And they are an incredibly environmental-focused company. And one of his comments was, sometimes to move forward, you have to take a step back and turn around. And that quote really, you know, resonated for all of us. Many of us were on the Dahan team, and we felt that we weren't going in the right direction, and so we needed to take a step back and turn in a different direction. And so there was that word turn. And so we talked about names like 180 and 360, and you can see the whiteboards filled with different names. And then, you know, one of the creative guys, he said, well, you know, turn, you know, we stopped turn, T-U-R-N. It sounds pretty, there's nothing very exciting about it. And then one of the creative guys said, well, you know, turn is also a bird. Oh, that's interesting, a bird. And then we kind of wrote it on the whiteboard, and then we started, you know, moving on to other subjects. And about 10 minutes later, he throws this on the table. And we all went, oh, that's kind of cool. It's folding, it's origami. And you know, we just sat there, we looked at it, and we thought, wow, that's pretty good. And so, after another, I think, few hours of discussion, we ended up with Turn. So that's the origins of the name. We love the bird because the Arctic tern, is a global traveler. I believe, if I remember correctly, in 1 year it circumnavigates the globe, and it travels 71,000 kilometers in 1 year. It's a small little bird. It's a marvel of engineering, and there are many other. You know, it's also a very sociable bird. It also mates for life, so long-term relationships. So when we dug a little bit deeper to study, you know, this bird, you know, all these things that said, hey, that's kind of what we believe in. So that's what we ended up with. Turn. I want to talk a little bit about move to the innovation process. So when we create stuff, where do we get our ideas? Well, number one, very simple. We ride bikes and we think of stuff. So I think for me personally, literally almost every time I ride, there's something that I think, this could be improved, or hey, this really bothers me. I think you probably have the same thing. You ride your bike and tires are too slippery, or I need better traction here, or I wish this was a different gear, or chain's coming off. You know, there's an infinite number of things. And so that's where we start. We ride our bikes and we think of stuff. And when we think of stuff, we say, I really think we could do this. We discuss it with the team. So the second way is we talk to dealers. Oh, actually, let me go back. Just the first thing. You know, some people say, well, your bikes sometimes don't fold so small. And we always reply, well, we're always optimized on the ride. That's where we put our, and I want to tell you a story about where that comes from. So when I was in college, I worked as a gardener off campus. I think I made $6.50 an hour. And it was about 3 miles off campus, and so I rode my folding bike at the time. I won't tell you the brand, but it had 16-inch wheels. And so every day I made, you know, not every day, but maybe twice a week I made this ride out. And one day I had a flat, so I had to borrow my friend's bike. Now his bike was a piece of junk. You know, the rim was like this. You know, the tire sidewall was about to crack. It was so old. Total beater. You know, the brakes almost didn't function. And I remember getting on his bike and riding it, and I thought, crap, this thing rides better than mine in terms of efficiency, rolling efficiency. Right? And I thought, oh, I have this relatively expensive folding bike, but it doesn't ride as efficiently as this beater bike. So for me, that's something that is stuck in that when we develop stuff, for me personally, I want it to ride well. If it doesn't ride well, I don't want to ride it. And so that's how we look at folding bikes. If it doesn't ride well, you don't want to ride it, and then what's the point? So we have to start from it needs to ride well. And so if you look at our bikes, that's where we start. We don't optimize first for folding, we optimize first for the ride. So when it comes to tires, we use the best. When it comes to hubs, we use the best. When it comes to rims, we use the best. So those are such critical pieces for riding efficiency. So it all goes back to, you know, my trips, my gardening trips in college. Talking to dealers is also really important for us. A couple of years ago, we were in Amsterdam. We were visiting a dealer called Tron. They're pretty well known because they specialize in folding bikes. And you know, one of the owners came up and he said, you know, your bikes could really be optimized better for Amsterdam. We have no hills here, so we don't need gears. Give us a 1-speed. Make it incredibly simple, but use high-quality parts and make it really durable. That's it. That's all we need. You know, make sure it's geared properly. Make sure, you know, if it's a single speed, don't make it, you know, a kid's single speed where you're pedaling like a squirrel or a hamster. But give it a good gearing. And so, you know, that's a conversation that stuck with us, and we went back and you know, now you can see this in our Verge Duos, Link Unos. It's really the conversation with the guys at Tron who said, hey, you know, for certain types of commuting, this is all we need. We don't need all the bells and whistles. Make it really simple, but make it high quality. We also like to talk to our customers, so riders. A lot of our best ideas are from you. I think you know, if you've been on our forum, you know that I'm on there frequently, Eric is on there frequently, a lot of the team is on the forums. And that's because we enjoy that conversation with people who are using our product. There's no better direct feedback than that. So honestly, you know, you'll see every year you'll see our products evolve and improve, and a lot of those ideas are, you know, if it's not me or Eric going, this is annoying me, and I wish I could improve it, it's one of our customers saying, this is annoying me, I wish you could improve it. So, I've been working on folding bikes for 20 years now, but about 10 years ago, we had a customer who he lives in Chicago. If you're on our forums, he's known as Steve Root. He's very active. He rides through the winter in Chicago, snow, salt, and you know, we had lots of conversations back and forth. And you know, one day I said, hey, you know, we're testing out a new dynamo, so I send him one, And so he tested it, and later on he came up with a great idea for us. He said, when you wire it, you have to make sure the wire doesn't go straight into the hub, because when you have condensation, it'll just drip right down the wire into the dynamo hub. So you have to bring it down and then go up, give it a drip loop. And so to this day, we have drip loops on all of our dynamo hub wiring, and that's thanks to Steve Root. So if you're on our forum, you can see him. He's super active. So ever since then, he and I have had a kind of a running conversation. I get pictures of his kids. They've gone from junior high to they're now in college now. But this is something that we enjoy, because not only just for the ideas, but it's this feeling that, hey, we're all interested in the same thing, which is making better products. And once we have all of these ideas, it's important to filter them. I think the filtering process at our company gets pretty interesting. You have very smart, very opinionated, very talented people from different cultures, speaking different languages, and we're all in different locations. And so sometimes, this filtering process can get pretty argumentative. Our head of product design, like I said, he lives in Finland. So sometimes we come out with a product and we show him and we go, hey, check this out. And his answer is, that's shit. That's shit. And we say, why is that shit? And he says, -25. It'll break. It's a plastic piece. And we say, my mom is here, so I can't use bad language. Who the heck is riding a bicycle at -25 Celsius? And his answer is, I do. So he lives in Finland. He's never owned a car. So he rides through a Finnish winter. And so he's extremely sensitive to things like corrosion and brittleness in plastics. And so his idea of adequate is, it has to pass -25. If you knock it, he's also very rough with the product. So when you knock it around at -25, the plastic can't break. And so for us, who don't ride in those temperatures, we think his product's perfectly adequate. And then, so he's, the Scandinavian mentality. Then you have the German guys who are all about functionality and utility. And then you have, the American guys who are, that doesn't look as good. It's not cool looking. And, in Taiwan where, well, I can't make it if you want to design it like that. And so you have this kind of clash of cultures and ideas. And I think that's something that's special about our company. I think that also means that, every product that comes out has passed through a lens of really, a lot of different types of people looking at the product. I think that's something that's, and like I said, it can get pretty argumentative. I remember one of our new product guys, he had just started. This was, I think, maybe half a year ago, and I got into a shouting match with our head designer, and, ended up walking out of the room. And the new guy was sitting there like, oh my gosh, is this how you guys do stuff? Because this is pretty, it's not very Taiwanese. A typical Taiwan company is just, okay, this is what we're doing, and everybody, right, that's typical Taiwanese. So we do things a little bit differently, but I think out of that kind of chaos comes some really beautiful stuff. So that's really a special feature of our company. And, once we filter those ideas, we decide, then we can go and figure out how to get it made. And then, of course, testing. So that's kind of the process. We get our, at any given time, we have 100 to 200 ideas on products that we would like to make. We figure out what's economical, what can we make, what's feasible within our resources. Everybody has slightly different ideas, so then we argue about them, and then out the back comes the final product. So this slide is something that I've been using for the product development process for, I don't know, maybe 15 years now. It's very simple. It's 5 parameters: weight, writing function, folding function, aesthetics, and price. So it means when somebody comes up to me, and we get this all the time, people come up and say, hey, I have this great new product, I've got this, I've got that, are you interested? What about that idea? So we always look at these 5 things and we say, okay, on these 5 parameters, are you plus or minus? And if you are minus on 3 and plus on 2, well, it's very clear, we're not interested. So, as an example, a couple of years ago, somebody came up and they were really excited. Spoke manufacturer. They said, "Hey, we've got titanium spokes. Titanium." I said, "Ooh, that's cool, because we like shiny, blingy, new things. Titanium spokes, cool. Tell me about them." I go, "Are they?" Well, right now, on our top-end wheels, we use Sapim laser spokes, stainless steel. They're pretty good. Are these stronger than Sapim? No, we're not stronger. A little bit weaker. Okay, minus. Are you lighter than Sapim? No, we're the same weight. Okay, cost? 5 times higher. So for me then it's like, okay, well, thank you very much. That's an obviously easy decision. We're not interested in titanium spokes. And the vendor's response is, but it's titanium. It's titanium. And yeah, but it's not lighter, it's much more expensive, and it's not stronger. In fact, it's weaker. So we're not interested. So that's, pretty much every product that we look at, whether it's belt drives or today we're talking about loop wheels on Kickstarter. It comes down to these 5 parameters. Now, of course, how you weight these will differ depending on the type of product that you are developing. So if we're developing a very high-end top model, then of course price isn't so important. But weight and writing function are weighted more heavily. If you're developing a budget model, then price becomes more important, and maybe weight isn't as important. So they are weighted differently, but more or less, any product that we look at, we can very quickly decide, yes, are we interested, or no, are we not? So, I have one final slide before we break for Eric. The final slide is evolution versus revolution. I think earlier in my career, we like to change things very quickly. Every year, we change the entire product line, and that was difficult. If you change wholesale every year, it's hard for your dealers to keep up. It's hard for them to keep their staff trained. It's hard for them to have spare parts in stock. So one thing that we did when we started Turn was to say, look, we're going to slow down this development process, and there's going to be less revolution. We still need it, but a little bit more evolution. So what we do now is that we've gotten rid of model years, and we say we will update 1/3 of our line every year. So the other 2/3 will stay the same. It'll run, it'll continue, and we'll just focus on this 1/3. That gives us a lot more time and energy to really focus on the 1/3 that we're changing to make sure that they're really good. But it allows our dealers, our service team, everybody to catch up on the 2/3 that aren't changing. So with this picture, I think one issue that we've heard about is chain drops. Anybody here had that issue? Chain drops? Looks like one. Good, not too many. But it's something that has been in our forums, and people have complained about, yeah, when I shift, the chain drops. And so this is something that, I think in the past, we wouldn't have the time to focus as much energy here, but now that we are changing a lot less, we have a lot more time to focus on these issues that are very important for consumers. So what you see here is our sharp tooth profile. It's a custom profile, and it's designed to keep your chain on your chainring better. Folding bicycles in general have a shorter rear to center distance. And what that means is that when you're shifting gears, the chain is at a greater angle. The shorter it is, the greater angle it's going to be at. And so folding bikes in general, when they have derailleurs, have a chain drop issue. So there are multiple ways to solve it. And we've been looking at many of these different ways, but this is one of the ways that we've been studying. And so this is something that we will be introducing in the next few weeks, as well as on 2014 bikes. So if you have a chain drop issue, talk to your dealer, and we will be getting some of these out to them soon. So this is our example of evolution. I get really excited doing small things like this because it's something that in the past we just didn't get to. And it's so important for people. So on the right, you see our new FISIS 3D handle post. I believe it's on this bike, and some bikes coming into Singapore now should have it on there. But it's really a revolutionary technology. Typically when you have, if you take the, Ritchie or Syntace, the top level stems, they're 3D forged. That optimizes for weight and strength. But typically that forging is about this big. So our forging is this big. There's no 3D forging that big in the bike industry. And there are only a small handful of factories in the world that can do a 3D forging that size and to that precision. And we're using one of them. And so it's something we're really proud of, to have this kind of huge revolutionary step, because you've basically then gotten rid of welding on that very critical piece. So evolution versus revolution, it's a balance that we need to keep. So next, we want to talk about making stuff. And Eric Lin is our head product manager for bikes. He joined us 4 years ago. 4 years ago, and Canadian Taiwanese. He's a very smart guy. I remember, he kept on bugging me for a job, and I was like, "Oh, I'm busy," and he kept on harassing me. And finally, he just kind of showed up for an interview, and it's like, "Oh, this guy's pretty smart." So we're very happy that he harassed me. But if you love our bikes, hate our bikes, Eric is the guy behind all the testing and putting, choosing parts and putting it all together. So here's Eric Lin.
Hello everybody. Can you hear me well? Good. My name's Eric. I am the head product manager at Turn Bicycles. Like Josh said, I joined 4 years ago, bugging for a job, first job actually. But it's been a great ride with the company. Things we do here is very fun. We do have a lot of challenges for sure, but it has been a very smooth, great ride with the team. Now, so Josh covered pretty much all the kind of the basics, principles in designs, innovations. I want to take a few minutes and share with you some of the more detailed inside look. I will go very technical actually. So those of you who's into bikes, into specs, I think you'll like this. This is one of our factories. This is actually a frame making factory. What you see is each of them is called a line. So that's a fabrication line of frames and forks. And this particular factory, out of that single line, yields about 500 frames a day. And in this factory, we have 7 lines. So that means you can output more than 3,000 frames every day, and that's close to 100,000 frames a month. So that's a lot. That's a big factory. That's a lot of quantities. And we're very happy to work with them, because they're very high capacity. They work with a very high quality standard. And by high quality, I mean this. This is from the last photo. On the very far right, you see there's a smaller line over there on the side. This is a closer look. This is actually a brazing / training line. So what they do is when they hire out welding workers, they don't go directly into the line. They have to spend on average 3 to 6 months in this practicing line. Make sure the skills is up to a level that's acceptable to their quality standard, and then they get dispatched to the official line. So this is actually the way how our bikes are made in this factory to a very high quality, which we trust, because they have this process of making sure their welding is always up to a level that they expect and we expect. Same factory. This is a raw kind of looking head to the frame, the frontal section of the frame. And the reason why I'm showing you this is that this is called a putty. So this is a covering process. It's a cosmetic process in covering the weld line. So usually with the fish scale, the weld lines you see, you have a layer of epoxy to cover with it. And once it hardens, and it covers it up, you apply a layer of paint on it, and all these not so nice looking fish scale welds are gone. So what you get is a very nice, smooth finish. We really like this, and this is a relatively expensive process, but we're happy that this factory can supply one of these technologies to us. And you'll see this actually on the Eclipse X20 and basically all of our S and X level bikes. So a really nice touch to the bikes. Some of the QC, the quality assurance procedures seen at the factory. So what they have is you have this microscope that's connected to your laptop, and what they're doing is you're examining the very detailed welds. So because in the fabrication of welded frames, when you have a weak spot or when you have a defect in the welds, that serves as a very weak spot, and eventually that's going to be the point of breakage. So our factories are very careful in terms of QCing the welds, especially in like a critical area around bottom bracket. And this is a process to assure that the welds are checked before they go out. One more. This steel kind of base station is a jig that was custom developed to the making of our folding bikes, and it's actually being used to check the frame alignment when you weld up the frame. And the reason is simple, because anybody that ever folded a bike that doesn't stand up, so that's when the frame goes wrong, and this doesn't happen with regular bikes because you don't really fold the bicycle. But this is actually a critical step in the making of turn bikes that the frame, the front and the rear axle has to line up to a very special arrangement so that when you fold the bike, you can actually stand up without falling. And this is a custom developed jig to check. So not the usual thing which you would see otherwise in other frame making. So those were the factories. I want to talk a little bit about tolerance, like the kind of tolerance level that we've been working with. So on your left, that's a for those that you know, it's a shim. It's an insertion spacer in between the seat tube of the frame and the seat post. And what it does is it actually, because when you're making a frame and the heat of the weld can bend the tube very violently, and this serves as the correction to make sure that when you have the seat post inserted, you can clamp it to a correct tightness, and provided at the same time when you release the lock, you can slide the seat post up and down and make sure it does not get stuck. So this is a crucial part to our frame, and those numbers you see on the piece is the thickness of the shim in millimeter, and you can see we're basically, so the process is basically during the development process, we made up all different sorts of thickness to test out what's the optimal thickness that'll work in combination with our seat post and the frame. And you can see we're really working down to a micron level. That's 50 micron increment per shim. And we're working with that's basically 3 decimal places which we're working. So very small tolerance to get the bikes right. And on your right, that's a fender profile. That's a gray fender profile. And this really shows you like how exact or how much we care about the color. When we talk about a gray, or when we talk about a white painted bike, we mean the exact color, the exact gray. Now there's on the sides, that's the Pantone book. They have about 12 different shades of grays, and the target or the goal when we're designing this is to pick the exact color which we need. So very small tolerance that we've been working with in terms of selecting components and get the colors right. This is an interesting one. How many of you heard of the brand, the name brand called Synthes? Hands? I see a few nods. Some people raised their hand. So Synthes is a component brand that sells. It's a German brand. The main products which they offer is the seat post, stem, handlebars, all these hardwares on regular bikes. And this company which makes Synthes product, well, Synthes is a very high end. I mean, those of you in the industry would know that Synthes is sort of the iconic brand for stems, handlebar category. They're very famous. They offer a 10-year warranty. Their test to go about testing the components is very stringent. Now this machine is called the Red Monster. This is a custom developed machine by Synthes to test out their components. And those of you who know the sort of testing standard protocols, we have the European standard, we have the American safety standard. So the testing which this machine outputs is about 2 to 3 times more strict than standard European or American standard. So it's a very, so I guess that's where the name comes from. It's called a red monster. It's designed to destroy things. So, now the reason why I show you this picture is because our OCO hinge and our Physis handle post are actually coming out of the same factory that produces Synbase components. And we basically work with the same group of people, work up to almost the same level of tolerance and quality and workmanship of the product. So it's that goal. So we aim high. The point is to find this trustworthy partner to produce from the very same team the very best product for Turn Bicycles. Yeah. So far, this only tests out the Synbase product, but my goal, personal goal, as the PM, is one day we will be able to put our components, hinges, and handle posts on this machine and get a pass. So. Again, some more technical stuff. This was a test to test out the strength of a component that's on our hinge. So if you ever, those of you who own a turn bike, you ever look close to either the Physis or the OCO hinge, at the tip of the adjustment rod, there's this little clip called E-clip. Now it's designed to hold the adjustment rod and the pivot together. And when we first were developing this thing, and I'm sure most of you would have the same question as we did, is this thing is about a third of your fingernail, the size. And the thing we're wondering is this strong enough? We have a lot of force and stresses on our hinges, and we have a lot of weight on the bike. Is this strong enough? So this was a test that I designed to see how much force can this little clip withstand. And the idea is simple. We have a lever arm to basically multiply the amount of force. And anybody want to take a guess how much in kilograms? How much forces do you need to pull this apart and break it? $50 kilos? Yeah. The answer is half a ton. So a pin that's the size of a third of your fingernail, made of stainless, mounted correctly, can withstand a pulling force of half a ton. So, very little pin. But this shows you that when we go about designing things, developing things, in terms of selecting the correct component, this is the kind of safety factors that we look into. In actual use, the bike, this critical part might only withstand maybe 50, 60 kilograms of actual force, but we set safety factors so high that you need 10 times more than the normal force to break such a little component. So, very strong piece. Actually, this is quite to my surprise, because I was expecting something along 100, 200, but this is 500. It's a ton. The wheel massage. I gave it this name as. So if you look closely, or actually in conventional wheel building process, there's this technique called stress relief, and of the spoke. And what that means is when you're tensioning the spoke, it can twist because you're turning the nipples. The spoke can twist, and that twist creates an internal stress for the spoke, which is bad for strength. And what's going to happen is if you don't relieve that internal stress, once the wheel is in service, once it hits a pothole or something, the wheel will go out of true very easily, and eventually you will detention, possibly. So this is that's actually a station that's about this big. It's designed to relieve that internal stress. So this is a custom developed product or custom made and custom designed actually by one of our senior engineers in the office. And you can see there is a Kinetics Pro wheel. And the reason why this is especially important is you have much less spoke than conventional wheels. On the Kinetics Pro, you usually have 14 or 16 spokes to withstand a person's weight. So this ensures that the wheel is, first of all, stress relieved, and it ensures that the wheel are built to the highest performance and strength as possible. So there's actually a scale underneath it and showing how much force are you pushing from the side of the hub. And this particular one is 140 kilograms. That's more than 2 persons sitting on the side of the hub doing the job. So and that was the kind of the serious stuff, and I have a few more slides left to the not so serious development. Anybody seen this, used this before? So this is, if you look up closely, this is actually one of our Physis handle post lever. And what happened was during the first run in the beginning when we started producing this piece, there's a portion of about 3,000 that did not pass the first QC. So basically we couldn't let the levers go out, but then it's all nicely finished, fabricated, sitting in a warehouse, doing nothing. So ready to be thrown out too. So I thought about it, and I think it's such a waste to be throwing this away. They're all anodized, polished, shiny polished, or sandblasted to a very high level of quality. So I was thinking, why not make some use of it? So what we decided is that shape is almost fitted as a bottle opener, so beer opener. So then I talked to my engineers. We did a few prototypes. Actually, it went through 4 rounds. You can see each one of them has a different design. There are actually all prototypes that can actually open bottles. But yeah, actually, a small little side project took us 4 iterations to finally get it right. Yeah, so side project, but still spent a lot of time trying to perfect it. And it actually took quite a bit of effort to get it right. And of course, with all the product development, there's the actual testing of the bike, of the component. So we enjoyed a couple of nice little afternoon break and testing. Oh, another one is, so we're always kind of testing, trying new stuff, and kind of going off the regular, very serious development loop. And this is an example of how, I guess, you can customize your bike. What if you don't have a 5-6 handle post on there. And this is it. So we basically took off the regular 5-6 handle post and we fitted a off-the-shelf standard stem right on the Forester, and it works. Actually, so the headset system, or that entire frontal area section, in the beginning was designed to fit standard components, industry standard headsets and fork steers. So that's a direct attachment right there. And anybody want to imagine our person look? Yeah, well, now he's a pretty big guy, so obviously you're gonna have a very race-oriented position. You're gonna be very low on air resistance for sure, but guaranteed by the end of the day, you're gonna have sore neck and you're not gonna be able to see the roads very well. But you never know. I mean, probably my height or shorter would actually find this to be the perfect bike for her or him. Okay, I have one last slow little slide. Just again, we're always developing, but we go the serious way, but there's the not so serious moment which we enjoy and always exploring for new, interesting ideas. And,
Wow.
all right, so we get the originator here, the owner. Yeah, so this is my last ride, and I heard from Alan that many of you like the modification and going aftermarket, swapping shiny parts on your bikes. So I just want to point out that I think it's a great idea that you can personalize your bike any way the way you see fit. One word of caution is that because we're folding bikes and then we actually have a lot of proprietary technologies. So sometimes you have to be very careful when you're swapping out parts. At first it might seem working, but it might be something that is not the best, the optimal recommended way. So I'll give you an example. Actually, if you probably don't notice our handlebar. So the bikes that's equipped with the Andro stem, the quick release Andro stem, or the XS level, the VRO stem. The handlebar that's being used on those bikes actually have a special butted inside dimension to strengthen the handlebar. And the reason is because you're actually clamping a relatively small area with a lot of forces. So if you don't take caution and you use a I would say off-the-shelf handlebar from other manufacturer, it'll fit. But it wouldn't be the best combination in terms of safety. So I guess that's my word of caution. And as always, if you are into personalizing, customizing your bike, I guess forum posting, asking for advice, or be sure to check with us first. And if I'm around, I'm happy to answer all of your customization questions, because I've probably done more testing than you did already. So that's it. Thank you. That was all the technical stuff I have for you. And I'll give the time back to Josh. Thanks.
Thanks, Eric. So I think we'll just close by a few pictures that we have, just to give you an idea of what life is like at Tern and how we do things. First off, this is in Taroko Gorge. There's a great, if you ever have the chance, Taroko is an amazing place to ride. we had our distributor meeting here, but after the distributors all left, we thought, oh, now we can relax and we can have our product meeting. So we have an amazing roof. It overlooks the gorge. And so this is us having our product meeting. So, you know, it's pretty rare that we have the chance to get the whole team together, but we have a lot of fun doing it. And of course, after we sit there for many hours arguing over things, we then get to do a little bit of riding. So we did the all the way out from the very inside of the gorge all the way out to the train station. And it was all downhill. It was a lot of fun. This is a picture of our booth at Eurobike. We use containers. So they're actually upcycled containers. They're old, they're rusty, we repaint them, and they are perfect as a trade show booth. We love them because traditionally, especially at a show like the Taipei Cycle Show, at the end of a show, you have all these kind of wood structures that get torn down and it all goes into landfill. And it's incredibly wasteful. So 3 days up, all this construction, and then piles and piles of wood for landfill. And that's something that's always bothered us. And so we've always thought, well, you know, what could we do that we could use for 3 years or 5 years or more? And so what better way to do that than to take something old, upcycle it, and we're now on, you know, heading into year 3. They look great. In fact, they're also structurally very strong. They're easy to transport. So there are a lot of benefits. This is me, and that is Huo Ge, and he is the first turn rider that I've ever met in the wild. And so we were, you know, out on a family weekend ride, and we spotted him, and so that was pretty exciting. This was about maybe a year ago. We ended up having lunch together. So this is Joachim. He's our head product designer. He lives in Turku, Finland. He's pretty extreme, as you can see. That's being a little bit polite. So here he is. He has a folding trailer, a folding bike, and a folding kayak. So you can see the kayak is on his trailer, his bike. So he rides from his home to the river. He's dressed in a dry suit because the water is that cold. And then he paddles downstream, and his bike is on the kayak. You know, we also have had some pretty strenuous discussions with him. We also make an iPhone bike mount, and you know, we were all pretty happy with the design, and he said, "Oh, it's shit." And he said, "Well, this is shit. It's good." So it's shit. And you know, for us, if it protects your phone from heavy rain, that's good enough. But you can see for him, it has to be submersible. So that's, you know, where we get some discussions. We go, this doesn't need, you know, your team, you know, most people aren't submerging their bike now underwater when they're cycling. So, you know, but for him, that's just, you know, he also has a floating pontoon, which is powered by a bicycle. And there are lots and lots of small islands in Finland. And so, you know, his weekend pastime is to float pedal to these islands. And so every now and then he flips over, and so that's where he needs this, you know, waterproof protection from his iPhone bike mount. This is our US office. This is our general manager's bike. And every morning he gets orders for some accessories, he packs them up himself, and he loads them on his bike and he rides it to the post office. And this is how he does it. And we think that's pretty cool, you know, that a general manager gets his hands dirty and is willing to do these types of things. Last year, for our birthday, June 18th, we told people that we were going to take them someplace instead of working. We were going to go to someplace that was a surprise. And so we ended up going to the beach, doing a beach cleanup, and kind of hanging out at the beach and having lunch. So kind of nice that you can go from your office and, you know, about an hour later end up someplace like this. I've noticed we have quite a few drinking pictures. This is basically right when the team decided, hey, we've got the direction, we're going for it, we're going to do turn, and we had dinner at a Thai place, walked over to a Belgian beer place. The guy at the bar asked me, so what kind of beer do you want? And I said, you know, I was looking for, I like Chimay, so I said, that Chimay over there, I couldn't see the small bottles, but I thought they had a representative, very large bottle. So I went to the restroom. When I came back, he was opening the top on this massive bottle of Chimay that you see there. So we ended up having to finish that because it was open. So now in our office, we have this bottle of Chimay that reminds us of that kind of incident. Bike shows. Traditionally, you go to a bike show. The U.S. show is in Las Vegas, Sin City, and what you do is you stay in a hotel and walk to the show. And that's something that we've always hated. We did it for probably 10 years, 12 years, and you're in this very smoky casino. There's like bing, 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 lights flashing, and everybody's smoking. It's a terrible environment. And then you're at a trade show and you're stressed. And so a couple of years ago, we decided, forget this whole staying in a casino thing. Let's rent a house instead. So this is where we stayed last year. Massive house. And one of the things that we love is that the whole team gets together, pool in the backyard, you can hang out, you can talk. And that's something that's really important for the team because most of the year we're across the world from each other. The creative guys are all in the US, product guys, a lot of them are in Europe, and we're in Taiwan, and so it's only at these trade shows and product meetings that you actually get together to hang out, and that's something that's really important. So this is Steve, our general manager. This is the night before the show, and he's got his apron on, he's getting his hands dirty, and he's tuning bikes up. This is a picture of the garage. So we do a big social ride, we have a demo day, and so lots and lots of bikes, dusty in the desert. And of course it's hot, so you have to cool off. And so here we are. But you can see that, compared to staying in some, crappy, loud, noisy hotel, you get this kind of a house, with a slide and waterfalls. It's not too bad. Here's a picture of our fridge. As you can, sometimes people say, well, I've heard this a lot of times from people in the bike industry, actually, especially in Taiwan. They say, well, how is it that you guys, from all different countries, how do you guys, work together? We find it really hard to work with these, Laoai. And so, when I'm joking around, the answer is, well, we kind of drink a lot of beer together. But it's in one sense it's a joke, but in another sense it's when you have that time to relax and have fun together. Your team and I, sometimes we don't see eye to eye on a product and we start yelling at each other. But because there's that kind of closeness and the respect from hanging out, 20 minutes later you can say, oh, I love you, man. Oh, I love you too, sorry. I can see your point. Yeah, I can see your point too. And a lot of that is from that just kind of hanging out together, which is really important. And so beer sometimes is maybe the lubricant for that. So instead of, one of the ironies of a lot of the bike shows is that when you're going into the show in the morning, there are usually traffic jams of cars. You have all these guys for the bike show, and they're in their cars going to the shows. And that's common in Europe, in the US, but when we live outside, it's different for us. So this is how we get to work. Again, this is last year, and we love as a group flying by all these guys in their cars. One of the other things that we do at Interbike is a mobile social. So it gets pretty big. I think there were, this last year there were 300-400 people, and it's people getting, crazy outfits, crazy bikes, getting them all together and just riding down Las Vegas Strip, heading to a bar, restaurants. I think it's, again, this is a different type of riding. It's not a bunch of guys out there in spandex trying to hammer each other so you can ride faster. It's a very sociable ride where you're meeting people and just trying to have fun. This picture is about values. It's not about beer. I took this picture because, ridiculously, they don't have recycling in Las Vegas. And so all of us are sitting there going, what? There's no recycling. And so Steve, our general manager, goes, all right, just pack them all up into the truck. I'll recycle it when I'm back home. And so this is all the recycling. As he's trucking it from Las Vegas back to his home in Long Beach. I think, and that's something as a group together, it's, the lack of recycling bothered us all. So it was pretty cool to see. This is the social route from just, you guys were there, just a few weeks ago. That's Steve on the left. We got about 100 people. We did kind of a low-key social ride just to test it out, to see if we could organize it ourselves and do it as well as the guys in Vegas. I think it was a lot of fun. Probably could have ridden a bit further. But it was a fun trip. We're experimenting with a cargo bike there. There's a sidecar there. So again, this is the kind of stuff that we like to play with and build up and test. The cargo bike is made by a company called Extra Cycle, and that's the president there. He's actually a classmate of mine. So this is a picture taken at Interbike. We thought this was our first year at Interbike, and we thought, hey, that's kind of a good picture to take. The end of the rainbow. And kind of our last slide is just talking a little bit about balance. We're in the bike industry, so balance is really, really important. But this is something that we see as, we have to balance work and family, work and fun. We have to balance growth versus sustainability. So these are all things that we consider to be really important to keep in balance. When you go, all about making money or growth at all costs, things get out of balance and they go in a bad direction. So I think as a final note, one of the things that we do a lot of is to work with transportation companies. So in Germany right now, we're working with the Transport Authority. We started in Munich, we expanded to Stuttgart, Hamburg, and the transport companies approach us and they say, hey, how can we get more people using trains? And the solution was, well, you can expand the reach. In each station, you can expand the number of customers served if you combine trains with bicycles. So that's something that we're working with these transport authorities on. We've also, it's gone very, very well in Germany. We're now working with Trenitalia, so that's the national railway in Italy. Again, to do the same thing, to increase usage of trains. So that's something that we're working on. We actually had can I talk about it? We actually had a nice meeting this afternoon with the URA, LTA, URA and LTA. So and the SSC. There were too many letters I couldn't read. Bike parts, I'm okay. Bike prices, I'm okay. But yeah, so I think it's really interesting when you see governments around the world thinking hard about sustainability and thinking hard about how to encourage more green forms of transportation. So, it was really exciting. Thank you, Alan and Japan for setting that up. But it was great to hear, governmental bodies, the people working in them, really curious about what's Germany doing, what's Italy doing, what can we do to increase cycling usage in Singapore. And you can attack it from a lot of different angles, whether it's legislation or whether it's partnerships with private industry, whether it's changing policies for when you can take foldies onto the train stations. All of these things are very interesting, and it's fantastic to see it happening not only in Singapore but New York and Amsterdam and in Bogota, Buenos Aires. So anyway, that's what we have. That's our bit. So thank you very much.
All right, thanks a lot, Josh and Eric. Again, how about another round of applause for them? It's Friday, so it's time to get our blood boiling, and before we start the auction, it's also good to it's a Singaporean way to enjoy gifts. So we're gonna have some questions for those that have paid attention to some of the things that Josh and Eric have shared with us today, and then we'll have some of the gifts that I think we have prepared. Some of the swanky bottle opener, bottles, T-shirts, I think. So let's do this real quickly, and then we'll get 10 volunteers. But we'll do it creatively, like the way they are. Think of how to select people. So let's just have 5 people with handphones that end with number 2. Anybody? Yeah? No. They end with number 5. Oh, go 2. Okay, 1. Okay. Can I just invite you up on stage? We'll just be 10 of us, okay? And then we'll just ask 10 simple questions. This lady, just come on up. And the gentleman up there can come on up. Any more? Okay, hi. Gentlemen, come on up. Any more? Any 2? No. Okay. Handphone that end with 5. Okay, 1, 2. Okay. Any more? 5. No. Okay. Handphone that end with number 8. 8 more. 7. I'm just gonna go with all the numbers. Okay, 2. Okay, come on. Come on up stage, come on, don't be shy. I'm the only one, so and I don't bite, so come. The bottle opener is quite good, so yeah. I will have Josh to sort of give them the gifts, select the gifts and T-shirts that we can give. How many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. How many? Oh, let's have ladies. More ladies. 1. Okay. How many ladies do we have? I have 1 lady in red. I have another lady at the back. And how about 1 lady over the one who's all comes up in under a scarf? How about the lady in red? Come on up. Yeah, you're the only one cycling since OCBC cycle. Okay, Zanan. Yeah, come on. I have another lady at the back. The lady right at the back. Would you like to come up? It's just a simple question anyway. I'm sure everybody will prompt each other and then everybody will go with the gifts. No? Okay. Oh, how about this front row? This lady over here. Second row. Yes, that's you. Can you come up? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. One more.
Normal lady. Do we have a normal lady? No. No.
Thôi chưa record rồi đấy.
How about
Có
this
run rồi.
lady over here?
Xíu đây.
Yes. Come on. No, she's going to pass up the chance. How about the little nice little girl over there? Come on up. Don't worry, just for you, I'll tell you the answer of the. Okay, so come on. You can have your is that your daddy? Your daddy accompany you up. Come on. Or your daddy can come on her behalf. Okay. Before we, yeah. I know that you guys do it differently. You give the presents first before they answer the correct questions. Answer the correct. Okay, so whoever knows the answer, just raise your hand and then we'll give the answer. Right? So the first one is, where's the HQ for the Turn bicycles? Okay, Taiwan. Okay, yeah. Okay, there you go. Come and enjoy this.
You go lah.
And once you give a good handshake, and you can return to your seats. You can hug too if you want. But, yeah. Okay, the second one is which two bikes won awards in the Eurobike? Two models. One model starts with E, the other model starts with S. One model starts with E. Eclipse, okay. The other model starts with S. Oh, okay, I heard that. Okay, so do. Okay, come on. Enjoy your gift. Yeah, you stand. Okay, number 3. How many models do Turn have?
Models or friend platforms?
Well, models. It's divisible by 9. There's 2 digits.
Anything between 13 and 26.
27, thank you very much. There you go, that's your answer. Okay, so which charity do our fundraising go to? You raise your hand there. Yes. Cancer Foundation, Children Cancer Foundation. No, that's not what we're doing. Okay, so the Turn brand is modeled after a bird. Exactly what bird is it? Arctic tern. Okay, there you go, gentlemen. Okay, so this one Josh just mentioned just before he came off is name one transit authority that Turn works with. We haven't worked with URA, but we would like to. But out of Singapore, Hamburg. Okay, yeah. Okay. Number 7. When was the first Turn unveiled? So you guys gotta give a tip. The year, I guess you can give the year. 2011. Yeah, let's give that. It's June 2011 in Taiwan. Okay, so how many submodels do the Verge series have? Verge. Name. Name 2 of them. Verge. X30, good. X20, X10, okay. Thank you, sir. So, who's the exclusive distributor and organizer of this event?
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Selling it for $10 on the website. It's before.
Okay, last question, and the most important is who is Turn's GM? Well, and she has been part of the big part. Has been a big part of Josh and Turn's company culture. That's actually his mom, Florence, and she's here tonight. So let's present Florence. Is there flowers that we're giving her? Yeah, there's flowers.
Oh.
And Mother's Day is coming.
inviting Florence up for a few words. Well, yeah, here's the wireless.
Hello, everyone. This is my first time to Singapore, and I'm very, very honored. I think what Joshua and Eric have presented to you, and I hope you get an idea of what our company, our organization is about. Our goals, not just for making money, like he said, but it's something beyond that, something deeper, that we can give back to society. And I hope you find that attractive, and that you find our bicycles, which we will work hard to get good products out. So it's nice seeing all of you, and thank you, Alan. This is a surprise. I didn't expect to speak. Thank you very much.
Okay, so now just take out your wallets. We're gonna start with we're basically gonna start with our auction of the Eclipse X20. I think as you're writing your turn, and after listening to Josh and after listening to Eric, you now know that it's pure hard work and a lot of beer that the turn is being made, and you can now fully appreciate how every component is being done. We are auctioning the bike, okay? The bike, not with Eric. Okay, so we're going to start with the bidding of Singapore dollars 1,900, which is $1,900. Do we have? And we're going to go with whoever raise their hands. So we're going to go in increments of $50. Okay, so we don't do $1, $2, or $2.50. Okay, we're thinking of 100, but let's do 50 in increments of 50. Okay, let's. Do I have anyone at 1950? I have one. 1950. Do I have 2,000? Do I have 2,000? I have one at 2,000. One at what? Okay, she got at 2,000. So 2,000. Do I have 2,050? 2,050. 2,050. 2,050. This one no counting down one. This one reach the number, then we stop already. 2,001. 21. I have 2150. 2150. Do I have 220? 220. 2200. 2002. Do I have 2002? Again, the retail price is 3,003, so not yet reached the retail price. Again, all proceeds go to the Children's Cancer Foundation, so we keep nothing. 2002.
Just to add something about this bike. This is the Eclipse X20. It is very possibly the fastest folding bike ever developed. It's an incredibly fast bike. It has the 507 wheels. We've got a really custom wheel set on there. So it's also using the Rolf Parrott spoke. Those are custom forged Saping spokes. So they're bladed arrow spokes. So we have to be really nice to the Saping guys to convince them to specially forge those to that length for us. The fortunate thing was that, when the Sapim guy saw it, he kind of, his mouth dropped, saliva started flowing, took the test ride and goes, oh, I need one of these. And then he took it for another spin and he goes, okay, I need 2. And took it for another spin, came back at 3. I need 3 of these. So they now have 3 on order. They don't have them yet because we haven't finished completing them. So this is the first one that goes out to the public, just so you know. First one in Singapore. So.
And it'll be a very long time before the next one comes. Only because we want to make this one bike really special. So with that speech, that's like an additional $100, man. Or an additional 1,000. So 2,3. Okay, so now we're at 2,3. 2,3. Do we have 2,350? We have 2,350. Do we have 2,4? We have 2,4. 2,4. Do we have 2,450? We have 25 now. Do we have 2550? We have 2550. We have 26 now. Looking for somewhere 26. 26. Okay, we got 26. We got. Do we have anyone 2650? 2650 we got. Do we have 27? 27. 27. 27. 27. 27. 27. Okay, we got 27. Do we have 2750? Was on raise up scratch neck. No, already. 2750. Do we have 2750? 28. Okay, thank you, sir. We got 28. 28. 28. 28.
Can sell some.
Again, limited edition. First one in Singapore.
First in Singapore.
29. We got 29.
If I was
29.
I will also support.
3,000. Yes, thank you, sir. 3,000. 3,000. We have 3050. 3050.
You can also never come.
I mean, of course, I think
So
it's
for now,
fun and all
actually-
this option. Again, all proceeds go to
I
cancer
don't know
foundation.
how
So
many t-shirts they can
you
come.
know, feel free to even outbid the retail price. Yeah. 3050. Oh, 3050, right? 31. 31. Okay. 31.
ตะกี้ร้องไง
3150. Come on.
รวมกันดีสุด
Again?
3150.
Yeah.
TGI Friday. 3150, we've got 3150, thank you, sir. 32. 32. Fastest folding bike. Well modeled with Eric. Yeah. Now I think we can throw you in the room.
So, a couple of years ago, I think Alan told me this story about some of the guys in Singapore who love to get on folders and chase down road bikers in their spandex. And I thought that was a really fun story. And so think a little bit about chasing down those spandex guys with the road bikes, the carbon road bikes, because the speed of this bike is honestly it's on a different level than top end Verge.
ไม่ถึง
So this bike will be very, very close in speed to a road bike. Not quite. A $3,000 road bike, this will still be a little bit slower. So you still have to be a little bit stronger, but you're getting really, really close. Whereas on even like a top Bike Friday, Terrell, Verge, 20-inch wheels, they're still going to be substantially less efficient, less fast than a 700C road bike. This bike gets really, really close, yet it still folds in 10 seconds and you can put it in the trunk of your car. So that, when we were designing this bike, we were thinking of the guys in Singapore chasing down the roads. So
Only Singapore.
that was something firmly in our minds.
So we're at 3-1, right? 3-1. 3150, sorry. 3150. Who's that? Oh, there was 3-2 already. Okay, so where's the lady with 3-2? Oh, okay. 3-2, sorry, we're at the 3-2. So 3250. 3250. 3250. Oh. Welcome me, gentlemen. 3250. We're at 32 now. Eclipse. Next 20. Okay. Yeah, looks like we've reached our final price. Okay, so looks like we'll sell it to this lady over here. 32. And I thank her for her generosity. Come up, maybe a photo shot with Eric and the bike, and with Josh.
must right one wrong
And just to add, the ticket sales today, together with the donation box, We're now calculating the total and the proceeds in total that we have for the Cancer Foundation, the Children's Cancer Foundation. It's 5865. So let's give a round of applause to everyone. There we go. Just a photo shot.
FaceTime now.
How about a round of applause for
I show my wife.
Great.
She'll know.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you so much.